Picture this scenario, because this was my goddamn life for 10 years. It's 6:30 p.m. on a Friday. I just dragged my crippled ass through a 52-hour work week at some third-rate tech firm, debugging code for suits who couldn't hack their way out of a paper bag. I'm physically in my shitbox car, but my brain, completely fried. Burnt out, the pain in my spine is screaming louder than my thoughts, and the idea of cooking a meal seems about as appealing as crawling through a minefield. So, what did I do? I pulled up the delivery app like the trained little wage slave I was, ordered Thai food or pizza that bled me for $49 with tips and fees. Then I'd stumble home to my cramped apartment, crack open a beer, pour myself some bottom shelf whiskey to dull the edge, sink into the couch to stare at a screen showing me other people's fake lives, just to turn my brain off. And I'd tell myself, I earned this. I worked hard all week. But let me tell you what I figured out after running the numbers, because that's what I do. I run numbers on everything. I didn't just spend $49. That pizza, the gas I burned commuting, the button-down shirts I had to wear to look professional for idiots, and the stress that forced me to self-medicate with garbage food, all of it was draining my salary by nearly 70%. I thought I was selling my brain for $30 an hour. But after I ran the forensic accounting on my miserable existence, the math proved I was working for less than $4 an hour. My name is Lester Crest, and I used to be just like you, a hamster on a wheel spinning faster than I could survive. If you're someone who looks at your paycheck and wonders where the hell it all went, or if you're working harder than ever but your savings account is a fucking joke, listen up, because I'm not here to give you some bullshit motivational speech. I'm here to show you the accounting fraud you're committing against yourself every time you clock in. I calculated my real hourly wage years ago, and once I saw that number, I burned my entire life down and rebuilt it from the ashes. You're about to see why. Here's the fundamental lie I swallowed for a decade. I was told my value was defined by my annual salary. I made $65,000 a year working IT for corporate drones. That's roughly $31 an hour. Sounds decent, right? Respectable. Enough to survive, theoretically. But I learned something from studying financial fraud cases. Looking at revenue without expenses is how companies collapse. If a front business launders $1 million but spends $1 million on operations, it's worth zero. Yet when I looked at my own labor, I only saw the revenue, the salary. I ignored the cost of goods sold, and the good being sold was me, my time, my brilliance, and the cost of selling myself to some corporation was astronomical. So I performed a brutal audit on my own life. Let's call that version of me past Lester, the chump. Past Lester made $31 an hour. But before that money hit my account, the government took its cut. Federal tax, state tax, FICA, that $31 got gutted down to about $24. Easy math. But then came the work-related costs, the expenses I paid solely for the privilege of sitting in a cubicle. First, the commute. I pissed away thousands every year on gas, car repairs, and insurance just to get to the office. 30 minutes each way, 5 days a week. That car, I only owned it to get to work. $4,000 a year, conservatively. Then the cost of appearance. I couldn't roll into the office in sweatpants. I needed business casual, dry cleaning, looking presentable for people I despised. That's an expense. Then the convenience tax. Because I was chained to a desk from 9 to 5, I bought lunch because I didn't have energy to meal prep. $5 coffee because I needed caffeine to survive meetings that should have been emails. All costs that wouldn't exist if I didn't have the job. I was spending money to work. And then the darkest category, decompression spending. The money I spent numbing the pain. The Friday bar tabs. The impulsive purchases. The prescription meds for my back because sitting in that chair destroyed my body. The therapy I couldn't afford. I was spending money to heal the damage the job inflicted on my mind and spine. When I added it all up, taxes, car, clothes, lunches, medical bills, numbness, I wasn't taking home $65,000. My real income was closer to $35,000. But here's the kicker. I wasn't just miscalculating the money. I was miscalculating the time. HR said I worked 40 hours a week. That was a goddamn lie. I woke up at 6:30 to shower and get dressed. That's 30 minutes of unpaid prep work. Drove 30 minutes to the office, unpaid labor, took an hour for lunch, off the clock. I was held captive. Drove 30 minutes home, then spent another 30 minutes decompressing, staring at the wall, checking work emails, venting about my incompetent boss. All of it was shadow work. Time that belonged to the job, but they didn't pay for it. When I added it up, grooming, commuting, decompressing, worrying, I wasn't working 40 hours. I was dedicating 55 to 60 hours a week to employment. So I did the real math. Took that net income of $35,000 and divided it by 3,000 hours a year. That $31 an hour evaporated. I was making $11 an hour, sometimes $8. In my worst year, I was making less than some kid flipping burgers because that kid walked to work, wore a uniform, and left his stress at the fry station. That's when I realized I'd been tricked into a high-churn, low-margin scam where I was the product and I was selling myself at a loss. And yeah, it was depressing as hell. But that depression turned into rage, and that rage made me efficient. Once I knew my real hourly wage was $10, everything changed. I'd walk into a store, see something for $100, and my brain would translate it. That's 10 hours of my life. 10 hours of traffic, passive-aggressive emails, and missing out on actual living. Suddenly, I stopped buying stupid shit. The real trap was the promotion. They offered me $10,000 more to manage a team. Sounded great, but then I had to work late every night, order takeout constantly, buy better clothes. My stress spiked, my health tanked, and I actually calculated that my real hourly wage went down after the promotion. I was processing more money but keeping less. Then I saw the hidden cost, opportunity cost. Every $5 coffee I bought because I was too exhausted, over 30 years at 7% returns, that's $200,000. I wasn't drinking coffee. I was drinking my freedom. The system relied on me being too tired to do this math. They wanted me docile, consuming, trapped in the cycle of needing the job to pay for things I bought to tolerate the job. So I broke the equation. I didn't quit and live in the woods. I got smart. I started running side gigs, gray hat hacking, data recovery, consulting for people who needed things done off the books. I optimized my real hourly wage ruthlessly. I worked from home when I could, meal prepped, stopped caring what people thought of my clothes. Every dollar I cut from work expenses was a dollar of freedom. Then I treated my life like a business. Not revenue, margin. How much time and money did I have left to actually live? I realized I was Enron, a failing enterprise waiting to collapse. So I pivoted. I left the corporate world entirely, started running operations, heists, hacks, schemes, high margin, low overhead. I worked 30 hours a week and made more than I ever did in that cubicle. I wasn't just surviving, I was winning. Now I calculate everything. My time is the ultimate currency, and I don't sell it at a discount. Audit your life. Cut the vampire costs. Build a gap between income and expenses. That gap is where your freedom lives. And if this made you rethink your paycheck, good. Welcome to the real game. Now stop playing it like a sucker. All right, here's what you're doing tonight, not someday. Step 1, open your bank app or card app. Look at the last 30 days. Every fee, every overdraft, every convenience charge you see, I want you to say out loud, this is a tax for being broke. Add those up. That number is how much the system stole from you this month. Step 2, pick one leak to kill this week. Just one. Maybe it's the overdraft cycle. Maybe it's the $200 a month in delivery food. Maybe it's a trash car payment. Circle it. Write it down. That leak is your enemy for the next 7 days. Step 3, write this on a note and stick it on your screen. No more paying double. Every time you go to buy something, ask, does this make me pay more later because I'm desperate now? If the answer is yes, you don't buy it. Do just these 3 things and you're already ahead of almost everyone still pretending this is normal. Look, if this hit you in the gut, good. That means your brain finally woke up. The next video is where we stop talking about the scam and start breaking it. We're going to rebuild your money from the ground up, buffers, debt kills, income plays, all of it step by step, so you never have to work for $4 an hour in disguise again. So hit subscribe, turn on the notifications, and don't watch later this time. You've been doing that your whole life and you're still broke. Stick around, and let's fix your finances one heist at a time.